You could have watched this video a day early. Check out my Patreon for more details. Just wanted to come in before the video started. If you've got problems with like flashing lights and bright colors in games, you might want to pass on this video. Just letting you know. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode of what I'm going to call the Indie Darlings show, where basically I'm just going to be looking at a bunch of indie games that I really like, some lesser known stuff, some stuff that not everybody may have heard about, and just in the effort to try to spread awareness of these games and get a little bit more variety, because I did a poll recently on the YouTube channel, and there were a sizable number of people who wanted a bit more variety in the games that I play, which is totally okay. So let's go ahead and start getting some more variety in. Let's start playing some indie darlings. So the first indie darling we're going to be looking at is Vampire Survivors. I'll be perfectly honest. I've been playing this game quite a bit. I played this game a ton yesterday. And you can see that I got 39 out of 43 achievements. So I've basically like beat the game at this point. But the game is so much fun that I really don't have a problem with it. I'm going to start off with just the basic stuff. So the way that I'm going to play this game, it might be weird because you do progressively unlock more things the more the game goes on. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start playing as Antonio, and I'm going to play in the first level of the game. I do have some permanent upgrades because this game does have a permanent upgrade system. So just be forewarned, you will not be this powerful when you start the game. But it doesn't take long to get to this point. I've been playing this game for like 5 hours, right? And I've already gotten to this point. So really the only thing that I have left to do is just to grind the game up and max out all of these permanent unlocks and everything. Big important tip, start off with this. Just the first permanent upgrade you get this one, because oh my god, that'll help you out so much in later levels. You can also refund all your powers and try to spread things out better. Yeah, just go for amount first and foremost. That's so unbelievably useful. So we're just gonna play as the starting character. This is the only character you have unlocked at the start of the game, Antonio, and we're gonna play the Mad Forest. And I've unlocked something called Hyper Mode, but I'm not gonna be playing Hyper Mode now, just because you're not gonna have that unlocked later. So Vampire Survivors is what I like to call, or what has been commonly referred to as, a reverse bullet hell game, where instead of being the one guy who tries to, who is trying to dodge and avoid all of the bullets that come their way, instead you're the one who's constantly pelting out bullets and projectiles, and all of the enemies are trying to get to you through your bullets. So I actually think that this game has kind of a mixture of it's a reverse bullet hell, but it also has some elements from something like Risk of Rain, where you can see at the top of the screen there's that big fat timer, and the more the game goes on, obviously the better the timer is going to get, or the stronger the enemies are going to be, the higher that timer goes. Excuse me. We're gonna go with King Bible. And when you upgrade, when you level up at the top of the screen, when you collect all these gems on the floor and everything, you'll be able to upgrade your character by either getting more weapons or upgrading weapons you already have. And you can see in the top right, you can see all the weapons that I've got currently. I've got the whip, and I've got the bird, and I've got the King Bible. And underneath that, you'll also have passives that you can get, which we'll talk about the passives later and how important those can be. But for the start, I don't want to overwhelm anybody. Let's go ahead and talk about the philosophy of this show. What do I mean by that? So earlier today, ooh, nice, some ground turkey leg. Also, look at this fucking loot box shit. Like, every time you find a chest, you get this kind of fanfare for when you open up a box on the ground. It's cool. This game is raw dopamine, and let me tell you, this game costs $3, and you don't have to pay for it anymore Like, you don't have, there's no microtransactions, there's no season passes, there's none of that. And that leads kind of really well into the philosophy of this show. So earlier today, I saw some data, and I don't know how credible this data is, but I'm using it as the basis for my discussion, where apparently microtransactions, DLCs, and subscription services last year made up like 60% of the gaming industry's total revenue, right? And I'm just thinking to myself, that really sucks. Not because, you know, people are spending money. I don't give a shit what people spend money on. But it's that the games industry is definitely going to course correct. And they're definitely going to make more games that, like just tap into this market that is being formed right now. And I think that that's a long con that they're playing, where they just want more people to be more okay with more microtransactions and more payment options and more things like that, and slowly erode what would and wouldn't be acceptable, right? Try to imagine pitching the idea of a battle pass in 2007. You would be called insane by everyone, but now they're commonplace. And it just, oh, awesome duplicator. It just, it frustrates me, where I don't play games to have a second job, you know? Well, I guess technically I don't have a job to begin with, but whatever. I guess this counts as a job, whatever. I don't play games to endlessly grind those games, you know? I play games to have fun. And a lot of indie games are also, a lot of indie developers are also frustrated by this. And so they try to make games that are just games. And you don't need, or sometimes they tell stories, you know? And that's also totally fine. I'm not the biggest, I don't really care too much about story in games. Obviously, based on what I'm playing right now, it's very obvious that I don't give a shit. But for the most part, most indie games are just trying to be games. And you don't need to have all of this extra additive bullshit. DLC, I'm totally okay with. You pay a little bit of money and you get some more content, you know, and the big DLC packs are what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, like, you pay $15 and it doubles the amount of content in the game. Or just something along that nature, a new level pack, or more characters to play as, something like that. Something that's, like, tangible in the game. Cosmetics are not that. And the common argument I've heard over the years is that, well, they're just cosmetics, you know, they don't really matter a whole lot. They're not hurting anybody, you know, they don't break the balance of the game. It doesn't make the game pay to win. And while pay to win is garbage, I personally feel like it does harm the game. And I think the game that really changed my opinion on that is Halo Infinite. Halo Infinite is such a frustrating game because it's great. The game itself is really fun, and I love playing it with my friends, and it's just cool to get the dubs and all that shit, and kill all the guys, and get the double and triple and whatever. Play the video game. It's fun. I like it. But that enjoyment of the game is ruined somewhat because of the fact that it's not... The game is clearly not about playing the game, it's about grinding the battle passes. And that isn't fun to me, you know? Like, progression is always fun, but if that progression just leads me to cosmetics that can't be used in some cases, why would I even bother using, like, unlocking the cosmetics, you know? Normally I'd be fine with playing the game to unlock cosmetics, but the way that Halo Infinite is set up is that you have these cores where some cosmetics just can't be used with certain cores. And what is a core? It's a suit of armor. So you play the game for hours to unlock a new shoulder pad. Just one shoulder pad, mind you, not both shoulder pads. Don't get too crazy on me. And you play the game for a few hours, unlock the one shoulder pad, and guess what? You can't use it on the suit of armor you like using. What is this segmented bullshit you've got going on in this game that, you know, by all accounts should be fun to unlock and progress through? Like, it seems so simple. It seems like such a simple, easy thing to implement into your games. People play the game for longer, they unlock more cosmetics, and they're able to customize their Spartan or their whatever, their character, in more ways. But because of, you know, microtransactions and this general shift in the past, 5, 6, maybe even 10 years towards milking as much money as possible out of every single consumer or player of the game, it just makes it frustrating. And they know it's frustrating because that's trying to incentivize you to buy the things just because, fuck it, I'm just gonna put $5 in, I don't care, this game's good anyway. But honestly, when I see stuff like that, it just makes me want to stop playing the game. Because I know at that point, it's not about making a fun game anymore, it's about wringing out as much money as possible. Now, defenders of these practices in the gaming industry would say that, well, how else would the devs make their money? Do you want these devs to starve? No, obviously not. But I feel like a lot of that comes down to, just bloated budgets in general. Every game has to be this, $100 million fucking project when it really doesn't have to be that. Also, just people like Bobby Kotick who just want as much money as possible, and they're not going to pay their developers anyway. They're just going to take another $6 million bonus at the end of the year. It's like, you can make that claim that, like, yeah, the devs need to make that grease too, but the problem is in AAA games anyway, those devs aren't making that grease. The CEO of the fucking publisher is making all that grease. So why would you even want to support a practice like this if you know it's not going to go toward the right places? And also, I have this opinion that games that have higher budgets, and this opinion has become more and more true over the years. Games that have higher budgets tend to be less enjoyable experiences, and I know that might sound weird. From someone who's just looking at games as like eye candy, and you're looking at a game like, let's say, God of War, or Last of Us 2, or things like that, where you have these extremely detailed, extremely well-animated characters and environments, and you've got famous people who are voicing the characters and are doing all this stuff, and you've got the best talent in the fucking business making this interactive story, not a game, an interactive story, as best as it possibly could. But in order to recoup the losses of spending that $100 million, you can't do anything interesting with the game itself. You have to make the game as enjoyable as possible for the widest and largest number of people possible, just so that as many people as you can, as possible, will buy the game and enjoy it. Doom Eternal is actually a very interesting example in this case, where they made essentially a character action game in first person, but you play it as a first person shooter. And I fucking love Doom Eternal. I think that's one of the best first person shooters of all time. But one of the common things that you saw, one of the common criticisms you saw of that game was that it's too hard, especially when it comes to things like the Marauders, right? And I feel like the problem with that kind of thing is that most people just don't want a challenging, engaging game. They want a movie they can press buttons during sometimes. And if you like that kind of experience, that is your business and that is what you like, and I'm happy for you. I don't want that. I want things like this. The things that engage me more when it comes to video games are not stories or characters or environments or concepts, it's mechanics. This game, mechanically speaking, is pure dopamine for my stupid fucking goblin brain. Because I'm constantly killing dudes, I'm constantly unlocking things, and I'm just collecting shit, and there's all that fancy loot box shit going on. I'm really susceptible to that, which is why I don't play a lot of these games anymore. A lot of AAA games anymore, because I know for a fact I'm susceptible to that kind of stuff. But like, what are we doing here? Why are we killing all these enemies? Who is Antonio? Who are these enemies? What's going on? Who cares? The game is fun, and that's what I enjoy about it. And I have friends who are the exact opposite of me. I have friends who would play this game, and they would get bored in like 20 seconds. Because it's like, oh, is this all you do? You know? They don't consider this a deep and engaging experience. And that's fine. Everyone has opinions on things. But when it comes to indie games, let's bring it back to indie games real quick. A lot of indie games make experiences like these, and experiences that are smaller, more bite-sized, more just buy the game and play it, instead of having to constantly sell you battle passes and microtransactions and you know, new expansions on things like that. Now, I want to clarify that when an indie game gets an expansion, that's pretty fucking cool. And I like I said, I think DLC is totally fine. You know, when it's a sizable DLC. You know, if I'm spending $15 and I get a ton more content in the game, I am more than happy to do that. You know, in the case of games like, I don't fucking know, Hollow Knight, you know, hot take coming in, I'm not a big fan of Hollow Knight, but I feel like Hollow Knight was horrendously undersold. I think that game should cost way more than it ended up costing, but it's cool that Team Cherry have been, you know, really chill about this kind of thing and have just been giving us free content, which is awesome, but the amount of work they put in, I don't know. I feel like that game should cost more. And that actually also, interestingly enough, brings me to a different topic. We're just talking about politics in video games right now, so if you're not a fan of this video, I'm sorry. But let's think about something. I need the other bird. I unlocked the other bird, didn't I? All right, we'll get Rune Tracer. Let's think about something real quick. Some games are now going to cost $70 instead of $60. And that seems to be the new trend that the video game industry is turning towards. Now, if there already wasn't this, well, all right, whatever. If there wasn't already this trend of, you know, microtransactions and loot boxes and battle passes and shit like that, I wouldn't have a problem with it. I would think, you know what? Okay, you buy the game and the devs need to make that scratch back from the game. But here's the problem with that. The devs are already making that, well, the devs aren't making the scratch on their games because, you know, the CEOs are gonna be taking all that fucking money. But, you already have all these different methods of monetization in your games. Why do you need to increase the price of the game on top of that? And I'll tell you, it's because the budgets are getting way too large. And I might have already said this, but it goes back to the thing of like, hey, you need that money to recoup your losses. So you need to make the most baby shitter easy mode fucking bullshit game so that, you know, Joey Two-Tap from down the road will be able to play, beat, and enjoy the game. Oh, I don't want any of these. Whatever. So, you know, he can enjoy the game and give it a 9 out of 10 on Metacritic or whatever, so that the devs might get, you know, $10 extra when they should have gotten a living wage. But like I said, I prefer games that have deeper mechanical experiences. And it's just frustrating to me when a lot of AAA games they try to make these big, expensive, cinematic experiences when, in my opinion, you don't need that. And it becomes even more frustrating when you see those dog shit people. Like, okay, I say the word people, right? I'm gonna put gigantic air quotes on the word people there. Those aren't people, right? I genuinely do not consider those entities people. And what I'm talking about are the people who go on Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and whatever. Well, probably not Facebook anymore, but who go on social media and complain when a game reuses animations, or when a sequel of a game reuses animations, or when, like, you can't break the fruit, or you can't rustle the leaves, or you can't do whatever in the game. And it's so frustrating because these entities, I'm not gonna call them people because I don't believe these are real people. I think these are just fucking bots that are trying to justify, that are like, I think it's just some gigantic conspiracy that these are like fucking bots or hired accounts or something that are just trying to make people more okay with, justifying these gigantic overblown budgets. Genuinely, like, these don't feel like real people. No real sane person can say the things I've seen on Twitter about this kind of shit, To be fair, Twitter is a hellscape, so I really should get off of that fucking platform. Anyway, it's just so frustrating, right? And so what I want to do with this series is I want to break away from that kind of stuff. Well, not like I ever had a stake in those kinds of games anyway. The last game that I was excited for in the AAA department was Elden Ring. And you might be thinking like, well, what about Monster Hunter Rise? And it's like, yeah, Monster Hunter Rise, definitely, but that's a series that I'm already heavily invested in, and I've been playing the game on the PSP recently. I've been playing that one more than the new one. So, opinions and shit. We'll talk about Monster Hunter, old versus new Monster Hunter in a different video, but right now I want to keep talking about this kind of weird, overblown budget problem that I see. I guess I would call it gaming inflation, because I'm thinking to myself, like, this can't be sustainable, right? Like, how sustainable is this business model? I'm assuming extremely sustainable, considering that, microtransactions and shit made up 50-60% of all games income this past year. Again, I don't know if that number is actually valid or not, but, based on that information, I'm thinking to myself, like, well, shit, I guess people are just okay with this kind of stuff now. And it's just upsetting to me. I just don't want games to be that. I don't want every game to be God of War. I don't want every game to be Destiny. I don't want every game to be World of Warcraft. Sometimes a game is just a game. And that's honestly why I've stuck with Nintendo for so long, because they have just a straight, because they have just a straight aversion to a lot of those practices in gaming. And I guess that's the good part of Nintendo being so behind on a lot of things. Bad part is when their online services are absolute dog shit, and it's just, you can't play online with your friends on N64 games, and you gotta pay $60 a month for N64 games. But I've already had that discussion. I've already had that conversation, so we're not gonna get into that. But it's I can't get the good whip. Whatever. What was I going to say? Yes. So, just as a way to get more people to know about these lesser known games, I'm gonna start playing more of them here on YouTube, on my channel. Because I have a platform. It might be a small platform, but you guys have given me a platform that I can share my opinions and share the things I'm interested in, which is awesome, and I'm very grateful for that. So I'm going to take that opportunity, and I'm going to start saying, hey guys, this is a $3 bullet hell game. If this is your jam, then this game is super worth it. I played this game for roughly 5 hours yesterday, and I pretty much already beat it. And that's fine. It's a $3 game. Not every game needs to be a forever game. You don't need to play fucking Bloons or Super Pets Royale or whatever the fuck that game is called, the emoji auto battler, which actually does look kind of interesting. I do want to play that eventually. Super Auto Pets, that's what it's called. Not every game needs to be played forever, and the idea that more and more games need to be these forever games, these service games where it's constantly pushing new updates and it's constantly asking you to spend more money on it, and you're expected to buy more DLC packs for it. I'm all for extending the longevity of a game, right? I totally understand. But it just becomes sad after a while. Destiny should have died years ago, in my opinion. People should have moved on. And when a game is, it's similar to when a show is drawn out for way longer than it has any right to be drawn out for. Like, when was The Simpsons good? Like, when was the last good episode of The Simpsons? You know, I'm sure there's a few good episodes here and there, but that show's been going on for like, what, 30 goddamn seasons? Maybe even more than that? Is it even worth watching anymore? Based on what I hear from people who are actually into The Simpsons, a lot of people will say no, it's not worth watching anymore. But people still watch it because it's The Simpsons. And that's kind of just my frustration with modern media, you know? I don't want to constantly watch the same thing over and over again. You know, even when I play different Monster Hunter games, they're still different experiences. Monster Hunter Rise and Monster Hunter Freedom Unite are very, very different games. And that's honestly why I like the Monster Hunter series quite a bit. Because it's not the same game over and over again. You have new mechanics, you have new environments to explore, you've got new things going on in it. So I feel like that's not a rehash. But I don't really see the differences. Like, the differences in, like, Call of Duty are not very apparent. Oh, let me also talk about this. Speaking of Call of Duty, yearly releases, annual releases of games. Like, what the fuck is up with that, right? Not only, like, we already have a crunch problem in video games. There's a crunch problem in a lot of industries, a lot of creative industries nowadays. But yearly release games, like, they always end up sucking by the end. You know, because you get oversaturated on one certain genre or one certain brand of games, and the devs don't get enough time to actually innovate, and they don't get enough time to make the games they wanted to make, because they gotta be pushed out once a year, and who fucking cares what happens? Does this glitch fail compliance? Okay, no, ship it, who cares? I don't care if the faces disappear off the characters. It doesn't fail compliance, who cares? It's just like, it's frustrating. So, all of this ties back to, I just don't like AAA games anymore. You know, and it's sad, because there are a lot of good AAA games out there. But when a large majority of the biggest and most advertised games are games like Destiny or Halo Infinite or fucking Call of Duty, it just stops, it makes games less enjoyable. You know, I know for a fact, I put myself on blast several times for this, and I'm gonna continue to put myself on blast for this. I have spent a lot of money on Overwatch loot boxes. Probably not as much as some people, but I've definitely spent quite a bit. I think the total number was between $200 and $300. Again, definitely not as much as some people have spent, but it's more money than I care to admit. Oh, shit! A triple chest, goddamn. All right, see, there you go. Like, the fact that I had that kind of reaction to fake virtual box, I know for a fact I'm susceptible to these kinds of things. So I for my own safety, I don't play these games. And it's just kind of sad to see people fall into these kinds of things and lose money and have kids spend their parents' life savings on this kind of shit. Because it's like, I don't know. It just seems insidious. So, you know, we're going back to this. This is why I'm playing Vampire Survivors. This game is awesome. This will last you a solid weekend. You know, maybe a week, depending on how good or bad you are. If you haven't, I haven't mentioned this yet, and I was gonna mention this at the start of the video, but I just fucking forgot. If you got a problem with big flashing lights, I'm gonna put this warning in the beginning of the video in editing, because I feel like it's important when talking about this game, because I'm sure some people would get, I know for a fact people will get headaches from this game. So if you're not a fan of the flashing lights and the flashing colors, I'm sorry. Not every indie darling I play will be like this. There are indie darlings that I love to death that are not like this. You know, they're not gonna be fast-paced action games all the time. And I also want to say that I'm going to avoid the indie games that people already know about. You know, I'm not gonna play Hollow Knight, mostly because I don't really like that game. I'm not gonna play Hades. I love Hades, that game is amazing. Everybody knows about Hades at this point. I'm gonna play games more like Crumble. You know, I'm gonna put Crumble in the indie darlings list. You know, I'm gonna make a playlist of games that, I'm gonna make a playlist of videos here on this channel that are just the Indie Darling show. And the unintentional first episode of this is going to be Crumble. I'm gonna play games like Webbed, like Fight Night, maybe Sable, Tunic, maybe? No, Tunic doesn't count as an indie game. That's being published by Microsoft. But I'm gonna be playing games that are made by smaller developers who don't have as wide of a reach of some games and some publishers. And I'm gonna try to use my platform for good and get the names of these games out there. Oh, shit! Not a triple. Not a triple, baby. Here we go. Ooh, 5 pickups! Let's go! Oh, man, my goblin brain is so easy to manipulate. It's unreal. And hey, the best way to protect yourself is to understand your weaknesses. And I fully recognize that this stuff make brain go happy. So no play Overwatch anymore. It's just not worth it. What was I even talking about? Oh yeah, indie games. I'm gonna be playing more games like Fight Night. You know, like that is definitely one of the games that I'm gonna be looking at next. Just more games that are just enjoyable. You know, I actually do have a couple of story-based indie games that I want to take a look at. They're going to be a little bit older. Not every game is going to be like the next hot new indie game. I'm going to take a look back at some of the classic indie games. Maybe that'd be fun, just to have sort of a nostalgia trip. It's definitely not going to be every indie episode is going to be, oh, we're going to look at Papers, Please. We're going to look at Hades. We're going to look at fucking whatever. It's like, no, we're gonna take a look at some newer, lesser known games, and then we'll maybe occasionally look back on some bigger, larger known but still relatively unknown indie games. Like, hey, did you know that the guy who made Papers, Please made another game that was also fucking excellent? I don't know how many people know about Return of the Obra Dinn, but that game fucking slaps. And maybe I'll do a full LP of that game. Who knows? But just to understand the scope of what this show is going for, you know, we're looking for the lesser known. We're looking for the up and coming games. Which if you have an indie game that you want to suggest for this series that may be lesser known, hey, drop a link to that. I did see one guy in the comments say that he likes Project Zomboid, and I took a look at that. Maybe later. I do appreciate different, I want to branch out to different genres of games, you know? And I want to try out new things. Because last time I tried something new, it gave me a whole new perspective on my entire fucking opinion on video games, so that's pretty cool. But I do want to try more things. Project Zomboid is going to be a little bit low on my priority list. Sorry, guy, if you're watching. I've got other indie games that are higher up on the list right now, which is totally fine. You know, we all got our own different opinions. But yeah, I think I'm gonna win this run. Let's actually talk about that. What counts as a one run? Do you just literally go until you die? No, you go for 30 minutes, and if you last for 30 minutes, that counts as a one. That counts as a win. And honestly, I feel like 30 minutes for this game, a little bit over 30 minutes for this game, is going to be perfectly fine. I feel like that gives you a great idea of what this game is, whether or not you'll like it or not. There are options. You know what? Actually, let's turn that off real quick. And let's actually turn off damage numbers. It looks a little better, but I'm positive that this game will still give people headaches. I'm gonna turn them back on because I like the flashing VF. Yeah, I think it looks a little bit nicer. I will turn off the damage numbers though. Yeah, it's definitely the kind of game where if you don't like flashing lights, I get it. If you can't watch this game, I get it. Not every game is going well. Yeah, not every game is going to be like this. I just realized that the people who have already clicked off this video because of the flashing lights are not going to be hearing my voice right now, but whatever. I'll slap that warning in the beginning of this video in editing. Oh, here we go. So I've reached, you can see here, well, my mouse cursor isn't visible, but you can see on the right, you can see all my stats and everything and all of my items. And I've maxed out everything. So once you max out all of your passive and active items, you just start getting money, which is fine. Just get more money, get more health if you need it. And you just keep going. I've got, 3 minutes, 30 seconds left on this timer. So let's see if we can win. Let's see if we can make this a dub, and get to the end of this, run of the game. I feel pretty strong right now, but I've lost stronger runs than this. So we'll just have to see. Another mechanic that I actually do want to talk about, if you're still interested, is you can see the bright red runes hovering around me where the Bible used to be. So if you might have noticed that you can evolve certain weapons, and that only happens if you get the correct passive. So you need, for the Bible, you need to get the spell, the fucking spellbinder or whatever, the little yellow cross thing. If you have that and you max out the Bible, then you have to pick up a chest, and that chest will evolve the Bible, and that's how it works for the rest of the active weapons. Not all weapons are evolvable though. The rune tracer, the bright, the big piercing shot that's flying around the screen right now, that is not evolvable yet. Evolvable. But, the devs of this game are recognizing that, oh shit, this is taking off on social media a little bit. So they're pushing out updates pretty hard, and it's cool to see. It's cool to see the smaller devs get the support that they need to continue working on their game. And if the devs happen to see this video, hey, you guys did a great job. This game is amazing. Highly, highly recommend. And I'm gonna put a link to this game's Steam page down in the description of this video, so you can go check out this game for yourself. Look, it's $3. There's not much you can buy for $3 anymore. So getting a good game for the weekend, just to chill out with, play some video games. Hey, I think that's worth it. I've glossed over a lot about this game mechanically, and honestly, that was done on purpose. I want people to be able to see the game and be able to play and experience it for yourself. I don't want to explain everything. I explained a couple of things, but I'm not gonna go full in-depth walkthrough mode of oh, here's how you beat the video game. Here's the build you should be going for. Just play the game yourself. Play the game yourself, understand it, enjoy it. Games are meant to be enjoyed. I find myself, as a YouTuber, I find myself falling into this kind of, I guess, trap of oh, I need to beat X number of games. I do have a list of games I want to beat, and honestly, I don't know, I feel like I'm gonna retire that. Because I'm not enjoying games at that point. When you feel like you have to play a game, it stops being enjoyable, And I have plenty of games that I do want to play and I do want to beat, genuinely. But I'm the kind of person who, if I'm not feeling it at that exact moment, then I'm not gonna enjoy it to the fullest. And that feels unfair to the game, If I'm playing a game just to beat it and not to enjoy it because I want to enjoy it, then I'm not really giving the game a fair shot, and that's just not cool of me, So, yeah, I might retire that, who knows. I will keep the list, though, because, there are some games on there that I do want to play, like Dark Souls 2. Believe it or not, I've never beaten Dark Souls 2. Beat Dark Souls 3, beat Dark Souls 1 several times, but I never actually did a full playthrough of DS2. And I got a lot of friends who say DS2 is far better than DS3. Oh, hey! That is a win! That's a win, baby! Woo! And then death comes and kills you. But yeah, that was a pretty good game. That was a pretty good game, not gonna lie. Yes. And then we can go ahead and power up some shit. We'll go ahead and power up that one. Because more area of effect is always good. And more movement speed, always good. Anyway, that was Vampire Survivors. That was a very long-winded video on my views, excuse me, on my views of politics in games and monetizations and AAA versus indie and that kind of thing. I'll leave this video with one question. What the fuck happened to AA games? You know? Like just the smaller games. You know, not so much small like this, but definitely, I would consider Hades to be a AA game. You know? What the fuck happened to games like that? You know? Anyway, have a wonderful day, everybody. This has been really fun. I do want to make more videos on Vampire Survivors when a few more updates come out and new characters and new stages get added. I feel like that'd be a lot of fun. Let me know if you have any suggestions for other lesser-known indie darlings down in the comments. If I like your suggestion and I do want to cover it in the future, I'll give it a little heart. And I'll keep tabs on everything that's going on in the comments down below. So yeah, have a wonderful day, everybody. I'm still terrible at ending videos. Fuck yeah.